Have you ever been curious on a long road trip on why gas is more expensive in the summer? Or how concert tickets for your favorite artist becomes available one night and then twice as expensive a day later? Or maybe you notice some things, like seasonal produce are cheaper at different times throughout the year. All these price changes are driven by two simple economic principles: supply and demand. Whether you're buying food, booking a flight, or browsing the internet, supply and demand are always at work, deciding what we'll pay. Let's break it down. Let's start with the basic. Demand refers to the different quantities of goods that consumers are willing and able to buy at various prices. To understand demand, let's consider the law of demand. It says when the price of a product increases, quantity demand decreases, and vice versa. This sloping line downward is in demand. It shows that at higher prices, fewer people want to buy the product, but demand increases at lower prices. So what changes demand? Let's discuss the 5 shifters of demand. 1. Taste and preferences. The greater the popularity of the product, the greater the demand. If the product loses popularity, demand decreases. For example, if individuals start preferring Pepsi over everything else, Pepsi demand will increase. If individuals get sick due to Pepsi, demand would decrease. 2. Number of consumers. More buyers means more demand. Fewer buyers means less demand. For example, if more individuals are available to buy strawberries, people will buy more strawberries. If there are less people to buy mangoes, people will buy less mangoes. 3. Prices of related goods. When the price of a substitute increases, demand for the other item increases because it is less expensive to buy. An example of this would be Coke getting cheaper and consumers buying more of it. On the other hand, when a complement such as peanut butter and jelly becomes cheaper, demand for both the peanut butter and jelly would increase. 4. Income. People with greater incomes consume more standard goods. For example, Mr. M wins the lottery and wants to buy cars, so the demand for cars would increase. However, if Mr. M gambles his money at a casino, he would lose his money and less money to buy for new products, so demand would go down. 5. Future expectations. People, if they think prices will increase soon, will buy more now, thereby increasing demand. If they foresee a decrease in prices, people postpone buying and hence reduce demand.
Now let's discuss the other half, supply. As with demand, supply has a law. The law of supply states that as prices rise, producers will produce and sell a larger quantity of a good. The supply curve rises as opposed to the demand curve. Let's talk about supply shifters. There are 4 main factors that shift the supply curve. The first one is the prices or availability of inputs. If raw materials become more expensive, supply decreases. If they become cheaper, supply increases. The second shifter is the number of sellers. More producers means more supply. When companies shut down, supply decreases. The third shifter is technology. Enhanced production means more can be made, therefore increasing supply. And the fourth and final shifter is government action. Taxes imposed on production reduce supply, while subsidies or government aid increase supply.
What occurs when demand and supply intersect? The point where the supply and demand curves meet is known as equilibrium. The quantity demanded here is equal to the quantity supplied. But then with the change in supply or demand, the equilibrium also changes. Demand changes upwards, the price also changes upwards. However, if the supply changes upwards, then the price changes downwards. If the price is too expensive, there's a surplus. Companies make more than the consumers will buy, so prices fall. If the price is too cheap, there's a shortage, more buyers and less goods, so prices increase. This natural push and pull is how the market gets in a balance. Now let's briefly consider 2 other important concepts: price floors and ceilings, and elasticity. Elasticity shows how sensitive consumers and producers are to a price change. Elastic demand means that the consumers are very sensitive to price changes. A small increase will lead to a large decline in demand. Luxury goods or discretionary goods tend to be elastic. Inelastic demand means that the consumers are less sensitive to price changes. A price increase does not significantly reduce demand. An example of inelastic demand would be medicine or gasoline, as people need these items on a daily basis.
Governments sometimes step in and impose price floors and price ceilings to control prices. A price floor is the minimum price that is set for a good or service. A surplus can occur if the price is set too high, since producers supply more than buyers are willing to buy at that price. One example of a price floor is minimum wage legislation. A price ceiling is the maximum that a seller can pay for a good or service. If the price is held too low, a shortage can happen because consumers would wish to buy more than producers are willing to supply at that price. These interventions can help ensure fairness, but they can also lead to imbalances in the market, like surpluses or shortages. Understanding supply and demand explains why prices are established and why they fluctuate. From buying sneakers to refilling the gas tank, these concepts are applied in everyday life. So the next time you see a sale or a price increase, you'll know what's going on. Thanks for watching.